So last week we talked about the Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight, Gotham's Protector, Batman.
Okay, yeah.
And this week we'll be talking about the Crown Prince of Crime, the man who smiles, the man who laughs.
The man who laughs, yeah.
We'll be talking about the Joker.
Uh-huh.
And we'll be talking about all his performances from Cesar Romero all the way up to
Joaquin Phoenix. Yes.
And we'll be joined by, who will be joined by again?
Again, we are joined by the Brotherhood of Batman podcast. So this is the second part to our Batman episode. Last week was Batman. This week is Joker. And we are really excited.
Because we just recently saw the movie Joker. And we all have opinions.
Oh, yes, we do. As always.
As we should, right?
So I'm Nicole.
And I'm Rolando.
And this is Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals.
An original podcast
about unoriginality. I thought you were going to laugh.
Sorry. So guys, welcome to Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals. And today we're joined again by the Brotherhood of Batman. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us back.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are basically regulars at this point.
Yeah.
You are officially the guests that have returned for more than once.
Oh, sweet. Look at that. Hi, I'm Ben. I'm your sunshine into Gotham, coming at you from the Brotherhood of Batman. Unfortunately, my oldest brother, Aaron, is gone because, like Joker and Batman, he's my arch nemesis, and I did him away.
Now, I'm Jake. I'm the middle brother. I'm the one that came up with the crazy list of comics that we read through on the Brotherhood of Batman each week. We kind of try to cover a continuity of Batman through a weird string of, pre-crisis, post-crisis, modern comics, and it doesn't really make any sense, but we enjoy it and we have a lot of fun.
It's baloney. It's whatever he wants it to be.
Perfect. And on our end, we have our producer who's going to keep us in check in case we say anything silly or foolish. And just to make us smile, we have Eddie Z.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
So great having you guys. I think we got a lot of positive feedback from last week's episode. So obviously we wanted you back because we're going to be taking on, who are we taking on today, Nicole?
We're taking on Batman's arch nemesis, this guy named Joker. I think it's just Joker. I don't know if it's the Joker. I think it's just Joker.
I think it depends on the rendition.
Yeah, hotly disputed topic.
Yeah,
True. Well, there's a lot of renditions, and that's one of the things that is very confusing about this character is, who is he? Where did he come from? Everybody has these wild speculations.
And I think that's what makes the Joker so much fun, though. The fact that, any creator can do anything they want with the Joker because DC has continuity for the Joker, but because the Joker is so mad and crazy, they can still do whatever they want because he's not a reliable narrative.
Yeah.
So even his origins are always a mystery.
For sure.
This is true, which is one of the things I like about him.
A big thing we look at on our podcast is actually the continuity. So that's great. We are always looking at the comics and what they take and what they get rid of from their own continuity.
Is the Joker everyone's favorite Batman villain?
Ooh, that's a very heavy question. He's my favorite male Batman villain.
Ooh.
That's good. Okay.
But Poison Ivy and then Harley
it is
Quinn.
Poison Ivy. Yeah, see?
Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn are my favorites.
Poison
but both
Ivy
of them
is a
are
good villain.
closely related to the Joker. I think he's the most important Batman villain, and I'll stop talking.
I would agree. I think he's the most important Batman villain. He's not my favorite. Two-Face and Bane are my two favorite Batman villains.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah, I think Joker is my favorite villain only because of the dichotomy, the juxtaposition between Batman and Joker.
Yeah.
He tends to be my favorite villain. What about you, Nicole?
I think my favorite is the Penguin just because of Burgess Meredith as the Penguin.
I called it.
Who's your favorite Batman villain?
Ra's al Ghul.
Oh, Ra's al Ghul. That's a good one.
Wow. There's just so much history between them two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Nice. Yeah. We just read a book with him for an episode we're going to record when we're done with this. So that's fun.
Which one? The demon?
Son of the Demon.
Son of the Demon, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of figured before we actually begin, maybe I wanted to see if we all could try to do our favorite Joker laugh, because I think the Joker laugh is one of the most iconic things from the comics and going into the movies.
Ooh.
Even in the comics, the way they they draw his ha 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 ha. Every artist tends to have a different take, right? Do they want to go crazy wild? Do they want to go scarier? So I think it'd be fun if we all go around and try to give our favorite Joker laugh. So do you guys want to start first, guys?
No.
Yeah, Ben's
That was
Rager
mine.
laugh,
That
yeah.
was just my normal laugh. Go for it, Jake. What the hell was that?
I don't know. I don't fucking know. I hate this.
Eddie, do you want to try your Joker laugh?
I can't.
You can. You were doing it at home last night. We just because
let me get in the headspace.
You guys get it. All right, fine. I'm gonna try to go. I'm gonna try to do my Mark Hamill, which is like he starts like deep and goes like high, which is.
That was pretty good.
That was good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do one. You guys got to tell me who I'm doing. Ooh.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
Close. Same time period. I'm talking about Cesar Romero in the first ever, to my knowledge, theatrical and television portrayal of the Joker.
I love it. That's fun. Good job.
Yay, thank you.
So when we see Aaron later, we're going to make him do it on ours, pretending that we actually both did it for you, and just make him look real stupid. So that'll be fun.
Come, my comic cohorts in crime.
Since this is a direct follow-up to last week's episode, we talked about the Batman episode. If you haven't listened, go listen. But we talked about Adam West's 1966 Batman. And
Ow.
Joker is one of 4 rogue villains in this. And he's played by Cesar Romero. As we said, Cesar Romero refused to shave his mustache for his portrayal because it was iconic. He was a character for him. Yeah, that was his thing. He was this character actor back in the day. He was, the dashing minority actor who also was like suave.
That mustache, like the paint over the mustache itself, kind of becomes its own iconic look. Also,
it does, yes,
because
Absolutely.
it makes it just even that much wackier.
It does. His Joker is more of a prankster. He's not like. The ruler of their gang is by far the Penguin and or the Riddler. I feel like out of all of them, he's just not. He's the follower. And so his Joker is just kind of like there. He just likes to get his kicks. He like laughs a little bit too much and he takes utter joy in just creating all of this chaos. But other than that, he doesn't seem to like be maniacal or anything. He's just like a guy who's like a doofus. And that is kind of what's charming about his Joker. But I wouldn't say that.
Such a different take than any of the other ones for sure.
The Joker outwits Batman and steals the fabulous jewel collection right out from under his nose. Oh, my playful pilfering pals, how delicious it is.
I do believe that his Joker is more close to how the Joker was at that time because the Joker, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, this was like when they had to kind of keep things a little PC and they couldn't take things out of too much like craziness in comic books. Mm-hmm. So at that point, the Joker kind of went through this like quiet period where he was just like, being a prankster and then that's it. And then a couple years later, after the TV show had ended, is when the Joker really found his voice, I feel like.
Yeah, the 70s and 80s is when they made him really dark.
Right. And actually, so from a comic book history point of view, at what point would you guys think, because I have my opinion as to what point he became dark, but what point do you guys think he kind of took that turn from like that comic-y jester to
well, as Jake flips through
maniac.
his notes, we actually just did a review on a book where it's the first time that he goes through and starts killing all of his gang members. And so he's still brightly colored. I think it was in the 70s. What's the name of that book, Jake?
So the story was called Joker's 5-Way Revenge. It's from 1973, written by Denny O'Neil. Joker had been absent from the comics for almost 6 years, I think it was by this point. Like he just, they hadn't been using him at all, and he came back, and his whole story was his gang had betrayed him. It was the reason he was in Arkham, and he escapes, and he goes after and tries to kill the 5 gang members.
He slays them.
Oh yeah, he kills all of them. And it was a complete change to the character.
He's the completist.
Yeah, he wasn't a trickster anymore. He wasn't pulling pranks with giant pianos and violins and stuff anymore. He was dark and scary. He wore a trench coat.
Okay, so I didn't even know that comic actually exists. I've never read that one, but I think for me, usually the turning point that I think people usually point to is when Joker kills Robin.
Yes.
the continuity.
Yes.
That's like another major, and that becomes like that tends to be in all iterations of Batman that Joker will kill Robin or has killed Robin, the second Robin, Jason Todd, and that's usually when we kind of solidify the fact that like Joker is Batman's deadliest villain and most personal villain, right? Because Robin is like his second in command, his wonder, and it's always, and it's crazy because like Batman still will not kill despite the fact that like Joker killed Robin, his sidekick. And then some of the other horrific things that Joker's done, comic book wise, has been he paralyzed Barbara Gordon.
And that happens not too much later after Jason Todd. They kind of just run with it and have him do as much terrible things as he can.
Yeah.
Wow.
And from my favorite ones, I think he killed Sarah Essen, who was James Gordon's second wife.
Yep, at the end of the No Man's Land story.
And the No Man's Land story, yeah, which is one of my favorite.
That's has it out for Gordon.
Well, and I think that's what I appreciate too. Like Joker, his whole motive, and you don't see this in Cesar Romero, but Joker's motive in the comics from that point on is kind of trying to turn Batman to kind of turn to the dark side, to cross that line, right?
Yeah.
Because like as far as Joker's concerned, right, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but like Joker basically believes that Batman is just as crazy as he is.
I would agree with that. I think Batman's just as crazy as he is, just in a different way, just for good. I think Joker wants him to play with him. Like Joker sees Batman as his only equal, and he's the only person that the Joker is not going to kill, because he wants to keep playing the game. So I would agree, Rolando, that he wants to make him as mad as possible.
Yeah, and the often quoted line from Killing Joke is, "It just takes one bad day," and Joker references that Batman at one point in time had a bad day, and they're basically the same person. He considers them to be the same person, and it develops into a quasi-romantic love affair between the two of them.
Homoerotic.
It's a very toxic relationship that they have.
Yeah. It should be. Well, Cesar Romero was before any of this.
Yeah.
He has a very nice, like, pinkish suit, which I really like, and his colors are bright and on point. He looks nice.
I mean, despite his wanting to shave off his mustache, I think he really embraced the character. I think he like did the whole prankster thing really well, and his laugh is fantastic. He seems like in the moment. I think all of those actors do a really good job of just embracing the camp. And I think that Cesar Romero, because of all the Joker iterations that will come after him, he gets a bad rep. But I still think that for his time and for what was expected of him as a serious actor, he did a great fucking job.
Oh,
Speaking
for
of, so
sure.
I genuinely didn't know this about Cesar Romero. He was a serious theater actor.
Yeah.
Was this like a low point in his career, or did he enjoy being the Joker?
I think when you weren't like a main A star, I don't know if he enjoyed it or if it was something that he looked back on fondly, but when you're like not a main actor, like an A-list actor, TV you had to in the 60s because everyone was watching TV. Movies were declining.
Which is interesting. It's the opposite nowadays.
It
where,
is,
like
yeah.
actors, all these A-listers are trying to go to TV.
Yeah.
Right.
So
how the
the
tides have
list
turned.
went to Batman because it's B for Batman. I have a question about the Cesar Romero Joker. So a lot of these versions of Joker we're going to dive into, a lot of them are affected by chemicals, and a lot of them just like paint on makeup. Is Cesar Romero supposed to be like bleached skin, or is he like supposed to be makeup? Do we know from the TV show?
I can't
Yeah.
think of an episode where they state what it is, but I've always thought that he just paints himself up.
Well, yeah.
I think he just
clearly
paints
looks like
himself up.
I
Yeah.
think so. I would agree with you. It's actually interesting, right? Because, and this is more credit to this, this Joker doesn't get like an origin story because there's no like by the time the show begins, like Batman is established that he is a vigilante, and Joker is already just a thorn in his side.
Yeah.
As are some of these other villains, right?
Yeah, not a lot of them get origin stories. And I kind of like it that way, where there's just this guy who likes to paint his face and dress up in a nice purple suit and cause chaos.
I wish that his mustache was green. Like, I wish that all his hair was green, his eyebrows and everything. That would have been great.
I actually love that idea. I think that would look like scarier.
Right.
Like, he just started like painting his mustache green and like, his eyebrows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he also wears like this eyeliner that really makes his eyes pop out, and then his eyes are just. I feel like he's like keeps his eyes really open in this portrayal too, so he just like bug out all the
Right.
time.
So let's what's it called? So let's talk a little bit more about Cesar Romero's performance, right? How do you think he performed him? And not, I don't want to compare him that yet to like any of the other Jokers we will see, but like if you had to describe him in like a word, and I'm going this for everybody, what word would you describe him as?
Wacky.
Yeah, that's literally the word I was going to go for. What about you?
I'd say Jack in the Box. Like he's just
Okay.
fun. He's
Oh.
like a child's toy.
What about you, Nicole?
Brilliant.
That's
No,
3 words.
yeah, technically that was
Hyphen.
4 words.
It's
but-
hyphenated.
It's hyphenated.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It is 4. I said 3. Good call.
Yeah. Unpretentious?
Unpretentious.
Yeah, because he had fun with it.
Yeah, but that's but with
You
but
can't
saying
you can't
no,
ask
no.
my opinion and then have a problem
No,
with
no, no.
it.
I don't have a problem with the word. I said like if you had to take away like the other performances of the Joker that will come, right? I don't think you can.
I will definitely call some of the later ones
I will.
pretentious.
I agree with you, but like I don't know if you can call this one unpretentious because there was nothing before it, nothing necessarily.
Yes,
Like, if
no.
you're
Well,
looking
of
at it
course.
as
Well,
I
of
see
course,
where
I'm
you're
going to look with
coming
it with my
from.
2019 perspective, where I'm familiar with all the other ones. I guess if I were just to look at it completely rid of any other Joker performance in my head, I would definitely say is comical.
Yeah, I agree. Wacky, comical. He's not a Joker that has yet played around. Like the Joker at this point, they haven't played around with the idea of madness.
Yeah.
They haven't played around with the idea of psychotic and
Oh yeah.
homicidal.
No, the 60s, they have no time for that. He does the bad 2C in this. He's too busy dancing and having a good time.
Yes, he is. He is. But in terms of design, also wise, actually, I agree with Ben. Like, I was a fan of the costume design. It's a good color. It just pops.
Yeah, and that was also the thing, you know, it was like the swinging 60s. It was like mid to late 60s too. So like fashion was at its peak, and it was just, I love it so much. I just love it for the 60s-ness of it too, because I'm a big fan of that period. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Joker. Yeah, he is it's an interesting Joker. Not my favorite Joker. I'm going to say it right off the bat, but in the grand scheme of Jokers to come, he is still.
Yeah,
he's
well,
still a good one.
from Cesar Romero to the very next time we see the Joker, it's going to be about 21 years.
A whole drinking age.
Yes, but the very next Joker that we see is a completely different Joker and a very unique one compared to all the other ones we will be talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about Jack Nicholson.
So Jack Nicholson's Joker is, of course, from the Tim Burton 1989 Batman movie opposite Michael Keaton. He did get top billing, which is kind of exciting. It sets the bar that the Batman villains are really going to be the stars of the show. And he, this was not technically my first Joker because I watched the 66 show as a very, very small child, but 89 is when I was 3. So I remember the merchandise coming out for this. I remember getting the action figures for this. I don't know why my parents let me watch this movie because it is dark, but Jack Nicholson for the longest time was my Joker. That was a lie. It was one of my Jokers. And so with the movie, we get to see his origin. He falls into vat of chemicals. His skin gets dyed. Before he's the Joker, he's actually just a bad guy who doesn't really have a sense of humor. He does carry around playing cards. His name is Jack, which is close to the Joker. But
Jack
Napier. So we get to see Jack Nicholson's acting chops of playing the two different characters. And he's got that creepy smile. Like, Jack Nicholson is just a cool actor. Like, you'll see him sitting there in the Oscars with his sunglasses on, and he's too cool for school. And I feel like he really played it up and got to dance and do the different things. And he was a good, scary version because we got to see a couple different sides of him.
Definitely.
That is. And I actually agree with you too on that one. When I think of Joker, for the longest time, I would think of Jack Nicholson's performance.
He's
on
what we
screen
had,
as
yeah.
the Joker.
Yeah.
for a very, very long time.
Well, he just had that voice and like the creepy breathing and stuff. Like I don't know, he brought a lot of fun things to it.
Well, and he set the
He-
bar
yeah.
so high that everybody was afraid that any character actor who would come in after it would just be doing a rendition of Jack, and
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
didn't think that we were ever going to see another Joker on that level, and they
Oh, for
almost didn't
sure.
ever do it again. So
Yeah, it's true. No, 100% agreed on that. Nicole, what are your takes on Jack Nicholson's
Well,
Joker?
some fun facts that we may or may not know is that the only reason the terms that he accepted the role on was that he got top billing,
Yes.
was that he got royalties, and that he declared his own shooting schedule.
Oh, I didn't know about the shooting schedule. I know
Yeah.
about the royalties. He was like the highest paid actor of all time for
Mhm.
a long time.
he's
Yeah.
still in the top 10 for that role.
Yes.
Yeah, he made a really smart choice. But like, I mean, he was at that point he was Jack Nicholson. Tim Burton had only made a couple of movies, so he was like, "We're gonna shoot this when I say we are, at least my scenes." And they said, "Okay."
Mhm.
My favorite thing about his portrayal is that this is a period, I think, of lazy Jack Nicholson acting. When you think of his best roles, it was definitely in the 70s, and by the late 80s he was just Jack Nicholson, like he was kind of giving people what they wanted of him,
Right.
but he was still doing it very well.
Yeah.
And I would say that his Joker is very much still him. Like he kind of did this
it's
perfect
Jack
blending
Nicholson
of
with makeup
yeah.
on.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson meets the Joker, kind of. And it is, Jack Nicholson is the Joker. He's not the Joker. He does not lose himself in the portrayal. But that is also kind of what I like about it, too, is because he was like, if I'm going to play this role, I'm just going to play it how I want to play it. And it's fun to see someone that we've seen in a lot of like overly macho roles be kind of loose and dancing to Prince.
right. With his purple.
And laughing the way he did and stuff. So his Joker, I kind of like for that. And I like that he's just like a gangster who,
Yeah, he's like a mobster.
yeah.
Like he's
Which
in a-
makes a lot of sense because all the early Batman stories actually dealt more with mobsters. It was a while before they really got into supervillains with the new continuity after Crisis on Infinite Earths. They started it more as the supervillains came later and Batman had to do with mobsters. So it's kind of cool that Burton went with the mobster route, transitioning directly into a villain.
This Joker is concerned with money and power and fame and violence. He's not concerned with causing chaos. He's got the motives of a regular gangster at the heart of him.
Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker. And as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
He's slowly losing his mind though, but he when he,
He is. Actually, I actually appreciate that about this Joker though. He is like literally a lot of the plot is driven for the fact that like he is jealous that Batman is getting all the headlines.
Yeah.
And so like he's just like, why is he taking all the news? Like, look at all the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so he sets his whole plan in motion to like poison all of Gotham on their bicentennial.
Yeah.
And it's just the Joker. This is just like, I love it. He's so large. Like Jack Nicholson's performance makes this larger than life character
For sure.
what it is compared to the more muted, quiet performance from Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yes. So this Joker, this is the first time we kind of get an origin story. This is how the Joker came to be, and this is why he is who he is, and this is, like they establish him as a gangster and stuff. So, as a person who has not read the comics, is this based on any story? Like, why did they decide to throw him in a vault, and apparently he survived with just being able to bleach his skin?
So this came out a year after probably the most famous comic book, quote unquote, origin of Joker, which is The Killing Joke. Killing Joke came out in '88. And then this movie took most of those story beats about Joker's origin that has always been there since they first revealed what it was in the 50s. That Joker was a gangster of some sort. He was involved in a gang called the Red Hood Gang, and they were in a chemical plant, and he was trying to get away from Batman and Robin, and he either falls in or he jumps into a vat of chemicals. And that's what creates the Joker persona. It drives him insane. It bleaches his skin. It turns his hair green. All that kind of stuff that they did in this movie. The big difference, though, is they've never, ever given Joker a name before the Red Hood situation. They've never called him anything. Sometimes he's referred to as Jack, but that all came after this movie. Prior to this, even in The Killing Joke, where they go into his failed comedian backstory and his wife is dying, or his wife does die, I think, and then he gets involved in the gang.
Was his wife dying or was she pregnant?
She was pregnant, but then she dies, and I don't know if it's the gang that kills her or if she dies of some complications with the pregnancy.
Oh wait, you're right. Actually, yeah, it's been a while since I read that comic, and I remember I saw the film adaptation not that long ago, which was kind of not as good as I wanted it to be.
They had to change those a lot.
They did, yeah. So I don't remember beat by beat if it was how someone. Because I read The Killing Joke when I was like in my, I think like 8th or 9th grade.
So
not when I should be reading it.
Right. So with the name thing, that's really interesting then. So you could almost say, because I feel like they named him Jack Napier because Jack Nicholson was attached. So you could almost assume that Jack Nicholson is the reason that the name Jack is now associated with the Joker, because I feel like they probably just made that because of the actor.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good take. For sure. Good for Jack Nicholson. I'm glad.
Really put your name on it.
That's funny. Does that count? Does that count for his royalties though?
That's all he gets.
I think 50 million is enough.
50 million?
Yes.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I disagree. It's not enough for that role. Such an iconic performance. I don't know. It's all wacky. It's great. It's one of the best. It's one of my favorite performances. I think. The other aspect of the Joker here that we haven't talked about, and I'm surprised because like you and I consider ourselves artists, Nicole, is the fact that Joker wants to be an avant-garde artist, right? He wants to use the human body as like his sculpture.
Yes, this is true.
And that's why he goes on these murder sprees at times, right? And so he's showing the photos to Vicky Bell, just like, this is my masterpieces.
Yeah.
This Joker was.
I mean, he kind of wants to be an avant-garde artist, but I think he just wants all the attention.
It's driven by attention, and he's like, "Well, how can I do it? Art,
not the work."
Yeah, isn't that what most artists want to do, though? Just kidding.
No, for sure, for sure.
Oh hell yeah!
That's why we have a podcast, so I don't have to work with a camera. My voice.
Right. One thing I want to say before we leave this movie is the scenes with the reporters where they start getting affected by the chemicals that he's put in the different things, and the reporters start uncontrollably laughing and then die. There's a lot of things with the Joker through history and a lot of these movies we're going to get into where he quote unquote takes over the airways. And this is kind of the first glimpse we get to see of that in the movies when the reporter dies with the creepy smile stuck on their face. So.
Yeah, actually, that's a really great point because you're right. That's something that gets explored a lot in like the TV shows, the comic books, and some of the movies where how Joker is a master of manipulating the media.
Yeah.
You could argue like our president.
But
yeah.
Well, and that even goes all the way back to Cesar Romero's performance in his first episode as the Joker. He has hijacked a live telecast of the Pagliacci opera. And he is wearing the sad clown mask that he removes. And that sad clown mask is something that's going to keep showing up in different iterations as well. Not only stealing the airways, but then portraying himself as a different clown, which is kind of weird.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
So this wasn't the first one, but it's the first in the movie. The TV episode. Good call.
Well, the TV episode for the TV and like the movie for Batman, that 1960s version, they're so intertwined, I would say, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, what's it called? So overall, so again, one word to describe this Joker performance for everybody. Eddie, what do you got? Jack Nicholson's Joker, one word.
Captivating.
Oh, that's a good word. Yeah, Nicole.
Ooh, come back to me. I gotta think about it.
Oh, that's a good. I guess like just mobster is the one word. That comes to mind for me.
Mobster. So
yeah.
I don't know if Rolando is going to call me out on my word or not, but I really just want to say iconic.
Cute.
I agree with you there, though.
Okay, cool.
Jake.
Oh boy. I think it's fun. He's just so much fun to watch.
Fun.
I don't know. I don't do good being put on the spot.
Yeah.
Jake, laugh again for us. Laugh, Jake, laugh.
Go to hell, Ben.
Whatever word means, he made it his own.
Okay, fair. I forgot we didn't talk about his costume design, but I actually love this costume design. The prosthetics,
The hat.
I love
the
it too.
hat too. What's it called? But I'm more of a fan of like
The smile.
prosthetic. Yeah, the prosthetic to make him smile and stuff.
I think that's
It
just
will
his
not-
face.
And then the other effect that I liked also in this movie though is the fact that like since his skin is bleached, there are parts where like he has to like his skin is bleached, but he has like makeup on top of his face.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, like,
yeah, when he-
wiping. You see like the white underneath.
Yes,
It's very creepy.
it is. Yeah,
That's
and I love how his
awesome.
pants are like really, really high up on his waist and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's like a zoot suit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that too.
I love the colors. It's what's it
Yes.
called? I mean, the Joker. I will say he is one of the more fashionable villains.
He is. Well, so you guys know that the inspiration for his character design in the comic books is based off of a silent film called The Man Who Laughs.
Yes.
Conrad Veidt did a portrayal, and like his, there's this picture of him with like white on, and he's got this crazy looking smile and all this stuff. And I feel like the closest interpretation that I've ever seen to the original inspiration for the design of the character would have to be the animated one with Mark Hamill.
I would agree with you there. And that brings us to the next film. Mark Hamill's performance as the Joker in Batman Mask the Phantasm, which, if you guys remember last week, was my favorite Batman iteration.
Me too. Me too.
Mark Hamill's Joker here, he actually shows up, I would say, in the second half of the film. And there's no origin story for this, as there isn't one either for the animated series, which I think they're so intertwined.
There's kind of we get to see him
actually,
before
no.
he's Joker.
You're right. There, what's called? We see the Joker before he is the Joker.
Which was
But
like a mobster, right?
He was like a mobster, right?
Uh-huh.
Not, I meant like not in origins, like how did he become the Joker?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I stand corrected. Thank you for calling me out like that.
No,
on
you're
the-
fine. On your podcast. I'm sorry. Well, it's cool
You're on my
because
list.
it
I'll be
is-
sure to cut that out.
It is
You're on
one
my
of the
revenge
few
list.
times we get to see him, and he like Jack Nicholson's. It's a more serious. Like he doesn't really have any lines. He's just kind of this creepy guy that does the bad deeds for other people. And then
Yeah.
I want to know how he gets to where he is, but we don't get that.
It's true. We don't get that either in the TV show or in this film. And I think the other thing that makes this Joker more interesting, right, is how he is the embodiment of chaos for almost the sake of chaos. For example, there is a scene where like a mobster comes for his help and he's just like, oh, this is boring to me. Like, I want it to be more fun and stuff. And that's when he goes on, he kills a mobster, and then he decides to like try to figure out who the masked phantasm is.
Yeah.
And then he has like the epic fight scene. And
Yeah.
you get one of the greatest Joker laughs also in this film.
Yes, I would say so.
From Mark Hamill. And
This Mark Hamill interpretation too, the cartoon one, seems to be more of a scientist because he concocts like a lot of little gadgets and all this stuff. He's
The
closer to
genius.
Batman in this one. Yeah.
that's actually really an astute observation that I never thought about until just now. But you're right. Like this Joker, this version of the Joker, like he's good with like creating weapons, apparently rigging a whole entire theme park to bomb at the same time. You know, you're right. He is like masterful at crafting weapons of destruction.
Made his origin story a little confusing for me because I'm like, if he was a mobster, when did he learn all this stuff? But it's like, whatever. That doesn't mean anything. But I feel like out of all interpretations of the Joker, this one is where I'm like, this Joker's a scientist.
Yeah, he's
Interesting.
definitely the smartest Joker we get from the movies, I think.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, he figured out that Andrea was the Phantasm.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Just kidding.
A spoiler alert, guys.
Hello? Anybody home? Listen, Boopsy, even though you never call and never write, I still got a soft spot for you. So I'm sending you a fun gift. Airmail. And there's no use jumping out the window this time, toots.
What are your thoughts on this Joker?
I think he's fabulous. I think that because it's a cartoon, there's so much freedom to just put the Joker in a lot of different directions, which is also probably why he's a scientist, because it's a cartoon. They could draw anything they want. But at the end of the day, I feel like his the voice acting is phenomenal. I mean, everybody can agree on that Mark Hamill's great at that. But I also feel like this is the closest that from what I hear, I don't read the comic books, but what I hear about him, I feel like he's like he's walking that line appropriately, where it's like he's still having a lot of fun and being like this loose, crazy, kind of like a prankster like Cesar Romero, but he's also completely unhinged and insane. Like some of the other people go really, really far right with that.
Yeah, it's true.
And I really enjoy that. Because it's like a nice balance. So if I were to sum it up in one word, I'd say balanced.
Ooh, you got your word already.
Yeah.
So
that is a great word.
So something I love about the animated Joker, we not specifically Mask of the Phantasm, but just the series in general. I agree, Nicole. We get every aspect. You get the really fun, doofy, and then you get insane, willing to kill anyone. We get a character introduced in the animated series, Harleen Quinzel, Harley Quinn, who is his girlfriend, and he tries to kill her in multiple episodes, and that is showing like, and this is a kid's show, and her whole character creation was based on an abusive relationship and codependency, and how much he doesn't care about her is very dark, and like he's like laughing and doing sight gags, but like it's some deep stuff. So that's why that's part of why he's my favorite, because he's just so evil.
Mr. J. Yeah, just
Mr.
actually,
J.
so
Yeah,
I just want to just jump off of that, because one of my favorite episodes is one where like Harley is so close to killing Batman, and Joker interrupts and like smacks her up, because it's just like, this is my kill. What are you doing?
Yeah. She's got it. She's got him upside down, and he gets mad because she had to explain the joke to him. Yeah,
Yes.
Because he doesn't want Batman to die, and if Batman dies, it has to be by his hands.
It's true.
Yeah.
Demented.
My favorite scene in the Mask of the Phantasm is when that like old mobster comes to him and like pleads for him to find the bat and kill him, and he just touches him. He like brings him close to him, and like you see the Joker like lose it for half a second. He's like, "Don't touch me," and then he decides at that very moment to kill him.
It's true. I mean, it's a wonderful performance, and I think this is where this movie is able to do stuff that like I guess the other performances can't, whereas animation, right? I mean, I remember that scene specifically because like almost like an anime where like the background turned red, as opposed to in a real life action movie where you wouldn't get that kind of effect and stuff. And I think this Joker, for sure, obviously because of the animation, it also feels closer to the comics.
Because it's drawn for sure.
Precisely, yeah.
Well, and being episodic and having so many different stories that they could bring him in different ways to tell a Joker story, they were really able to build up that unpredictable characterization of the Joker. Like, you don't know what Joker you're going to get. And like you guys pointed out in that limo scene in Mask of the Phantasm, he can flip on the drop of a dime or pin, whatever. And you don't know if he's going to kill you, if he's going to slap you with a smiling fish. You don't know if he's going to try to...
You don't know if the flower is going to have water or acid in it, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also, one of my favorite scenes, also part of, like, in that movie was when Andrea's beating the shit out of him, and like he's trying to reach for a weapon, and again, in perfect Joker fashion, he grabs a salami and starts beating her with the meat
right next to a knife. Like, there's a knife right there, and instead he just like smacks her. Yeah.
It's such a, and again, it's so Joker-like.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite moments for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, again, we get to see the relationship with Batman. Which I actually want to ask you guys. So there is a part in the movie where where Joker's like, "Yo, you're gonna kill us both," and Batman says, "Whatever it takes." What do you guys think?
I don't know if he really means it. Like, he talks big, but I don't think he's willing to kill him. But at that point, like, Andrea's involved and Batman's emotions are heightened, and who knows?
Yeah. Agreed.
I do think I want to talk a little bit about the Joker's masculinity. He gets scary and misogynistic at times, especially with, you said, beating her with the meat. And so I think that's kind of funny. But then there's also, he's like the most flamboyant character there is. So I do like those dynamics of him and his levels with, like, I don't know, gender or sexuality or whatever, because I feel like there's layers there that don't necessarily get dived into. But just saying beating her with the meat made me think of it.
Yeah. Well, and I actually agree with you. You guys know Arkham A Serious Place on Serious Earth, that comic?
I don't.
No.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
so-
yes.
Okay, yeah. So in that comic, I know in the notes, in the collector's edition, right? In the notes, it says that how the original artist wanted to draw the Joker with like a bustier, like a Madonna bra, and like high heels. But DC was just, I think they gave him the heels. They took away the bustier because what's it called? The artist wanted to like really kind of mess around with like this idea of masculinity of the Joker because he could be so hyper masculine at the same time, but at the same time he's like not necessarily gender fluid, but like he has nothing. He's just like he's I guess non-binary. They were trying to like imply there.
Right.
It seems like it, yeah.
Especially, I mentioned Harley Quinn earlier. Like, I don't think he loves her. So there's definitely like area to explore there, for sure.
I mean, you guys said it before. Like he is in love with Batman.
Yeah.
And that's his one true love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
And
Batman's the only person he actually cares about, and I think the misogynistic portrayal came around with Jack, and then came into the Mark Hamill characterization too. But it keeps building and building and building. You know, he doesn't really like Harley. He doesn't like care about anybody except Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Now, question for you guys, comic book wise. We know how this Joker, in terms of like, will influence the comics because like they bring in Harley Quinzel and she will become a member of the comic book. She gets introduced into the comic book world.
Yes.
Does this Joker borrow any elements from the comic books?
I think so. He does a lot of the taking over the airwaves thing we've mentioned. I don't know, Jake, go ahead. You know more.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. A lot of the animated episodes from the series are direct iterations of comic stories.
Laughing Fish.
Yeah, the Laughing Fish, Joker's Five-Way Revenge. A lot of these keep popping up, and they draw from that inspiration that the comics had already done. I think the thing about Mark Hamill and the animated Joker is he's a combination of nearly every version of the Joker up to this point. They took all of those different versions and smashed them in, and then let Mark Hamill go crazy with it, and we got the perfect Joker out of it.
And I will say this, and you guys can let me know if you agree or disagree, but like I think one of the best parts about this Joker is his longevity, because Mark Hamill will come to reprise Joker for so many times, and like do you think that anytime that Mark Hamill reprises his role as a Joker, would you consider it part of the same continuity? Because if we do consider it that way, we get to see the Joker go from like kind of in the kids' TV show, kind of like this playful clown that teeters the edge, and he will eventually cross that line, you know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do think that he's done it for some of the like comic adaptations. I don't think those are in the same continuity, but I definitely think that as for an actor with my limited theater experience, I think that he would carry that over. I just don't it's not the same person, but he's definitely had the character for a long time, and the character has to mean something to him. So I'm sure he takes every time he does it and learns and grows and adds something to it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and we actually get to see in a direct-to-video movie the Return of the Joker from the Batman Beyond series. That movie actually gives an end to the animated series Joker, and it tells us where their relationship goes, and then what Joker was able to do that would continue his legacy even after his own death.
I'm gonna recommend that one, obviously. So that's a good movie. That's a good portrayal. That has two cuts, right? The kids cut, and then like the more adult edit where we actually get to see like a murder basically happen.
Yeah, we get to see what he does to Tim Drake.
Yeah. So good. Good callback to that movie. But I think Mark Hamill has such a long history with the Joker. I actually surpasses everybody, because I think his most recent was probably either The Killing Joke or one of the Arkham Arkham games.
Yeah, he's the go-to for sure.
He is, rightfully so, I think. And I think this performance in the Mask of the Phantasm solidifies that with, if anything, just that laugh alone when like the world is exploding around him. He's just like laughing hysterically.
Yeah. So if you were to describe Mark Hamill in one word, what would you use?
I would use epic.
Epic.
Ah!
Oh. Ooh.
I'm
We know who
going
your
to
favorite is.
say dynamic.
Ooh. And Jake?
Stellar.
Ooh. What about you, Eddie Z? Do you got a word for us?
A little more fleshed out.
Ooh, fleshed out.
Fleshed out.
Sure.
Hyphenated with flesh.
This is breaking news. Breaking news, guys. We actually are joined by another brother from the Brotherhood of Batman.
What?
Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Aaron. I'm the oldest out of us, and I will sort of clean this up on our end. They got it all hooked up correctly this time, so I'm very proud of them. They get a gold star
Yay.
or a gold batarang or whatever it may be.
It was all me. Just obviously not.
Aaron, I made everyone do their Joker laughs.
Oh,
when we
great.
Started, so give us your best Joker
My
laugh.
best Joker laugh.
That was
Cute.
good.
Oh, that's a
That
good
was
one.
good. Yeah.
really
Wow,
That's like the
yeah.
happiest I've ever heard Aaron.
Yeah, that's my maniacal glee.
He's
Yeah,
a morning person.
I am. This is my rise and shine time.
So, Aaron, we've been talking about the different Jokers, and we just got to Heath Ledger. You want to give us a little Heath Ledger recap, Joker?
So this was the second out of the Nolan trilogy, The Dark Knight. There's a lot with Heath Ledger going full on into the character and developing himself and really getting himself involved in becoming the Joker. So much so that on set he scared a few of the actors with his ability to portray the dark and demonic Joker that we had. Showing the insanity and his ability to kind of just dive directly into the character, I think, is one of the reasons why he posthumously won the Oscar for that portrayal. In my opinion, it's one of the top Joker performances of all time. Obviously, we'll be talking about and discussing that in a minute here, but yeah, his mannerisms, his facial expressions, the way he licks his lips periodically throughout the movie just kind of add to that creepiness of the Joker character, I think.
I'm going to jump off on that right there, right? Because this is a Joker where we don't get an origin story.
Yay.
We get, I think, 2 or 3 different takes, none of which he's an unreliable narrator. So we don't know which one's real,
Yep.
if they're real at all.
Yeah.
You can't trust the
So,
Joker. What?
You can't, yeah. So what are your takes already on this Joker?
I loved it. R.I.P. Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about earlier, like how hard it would be for somebody to follow up Jack's performance with this character, and he went a completely different route. That
It's the
could
only
have
way
been,
you could.
yeah, it could have been tragic to the movie had it not worked, but it worked so well that it overshadows the entire rest of the franchise. This one performance,
Yeah.
it's incredible. It's a Joker we hadn't really seen before, even in the comics. It was a very real, a very tactile Joker that could have existed in our world.
Agreed.
Definitely agree.
He's more subtly funny too. Like there's this scary moments where he kills somebody by jabbing their head onto a pencil and things. Ta-da!
Yeah. And after his magic trick, yeah.
Right. And so you just, and like Aaron just said, ta-da, like he has that still, it's funny, but it's shocking. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to laugh at that. Whereas with some of the other renditions we've had so
Right.
far, you feel more comfortable. And so this Joker definitely makes you uncomfortable. And we're going to get more into that with some other ones, I think. But that's what I really liked
Yeah.
from this one. I didn't know how I was supposed to feel in the moment.
Yeah, agreed. I agree 100%. What about you, Nicole?
I do agree, and I think his acting is phenomenal. You know, nobody can really deny it. Although I don't think he had a lot of. I didn't feel any funness from it. I'm like, this guy's creepy. Like when he made his jokes and stuff, I didn't think he was like as fun as the other things
Really?
were.
Even when he's blowing up the hospital?
Yeah.
And he,
Oh my god,
Just
that's
because
and he shakes the
prances-
controller
but it
and
has
like
such a
shrugs
Yeah,
his shoulders because it doesn't
and that was
work.
actually that was all like and that was
Yeah.
actually not ad-libbed. What's it called? That was like
Improvised,
improv. Yeah,
yeah.
because the remote it's not supposed to work because he's just like
No, I get what he's going for, but it has such a dark tone to it that it doesn't even feel fun. It feels like scary, which is probably a good thing. But for me, and I'm like, I want to be clear that I love his portrayal, but it does lack that just because he did the dark and menacing so fucking well that I, as a person who just likes certain things from my Joker, felt like a little like, I wish this was a little bit more like actually fun.
Yeah.
Instead of dark.
I definitely see that.
I see it too. I disagree with you though, because I feel like Heath Ledger was actually able to balance that kind of that darkness. There were still those elements of kind of he's having fun with this character.
Well, it's debatable
my favorite moment is-
on whether or not Heath Ledger balanced
That's true.
it.
Yeah.
He might have on screen, but we don't know so much about the actor.
I agree
This
with
is
you there.
true,
Yes.
yes.
As the rumors imply that he might have died because he took the role too seriously.
Yeah.
Which is
Although
insane.
I blame the Olsen twins. but
Absolutely
that's just me.
insane.
Yeah.
But like, there's that moment where he's in the jail cell, and like, I think somebody got a promotion or did a well job, and they're all clapping, and then you cut to him, and he's clapping too, and it's like, yeah, those moments are very humorous, and you're like, oh, this guy's such a fucking sarcastic asshole. Love it, but it's still like it. But that's not fun. And just because he's like in the nurse outfit and he like does that little prance, that's
Well,
I don't know,
hey,
for me,
there's
they're
his
just not
cross-dressing
really
moment he
fun.
finally got.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
And that's also actually I remember the reveal when he turns around and he's in that outfit. That was a good reveal in that movie too. When I wasn't expecting it, I guess, because up until this moment, like the movie is itself like it does take itself very seriously. This film,
Yes, it does.
we've argued about this last week.
Mhm.
And there's like a moment of like maybe fun isn't the right word. I don't. When you're talking about fun, what kind of fun are you looking for?
Well, that's the thing. Like because
Caesar Romero.
even Jack Nicholson,
Uh-huh.
right? There was like a level to it where it was like he just wanted all this attention, and he was just like a kind of like an asshole, and it was comical. There's the comic in Heath Ledger is ironic because he's just coming from such a dark place. It's like so like
yeah, it's
viscerally
more
dark.
about chaos and what kind of society he's living in, and he's got
Yes.
more of an agenda, maybe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think his actions are entirely intentional. And during the hospital scene when he's talking to Dent and he's, I'm just a dog chasing a car, that's all, I think, bullshit. I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and I think he's had a plan since he first showed up in Gotham.
For sure. Yeah. And it's also about tone. Just because a person is singing or dancing or galloping doesn't mean that the tone of it is like something that is like, oh, I'm enjoying this with them. Like, and this is, again, like I want to reiterate that it's a good thing and it's a great choice on his acting decisions. But at the end of the day,
you
like,
can
he
disagree.
creeped me the fuck out. I still think he did a great job. Like, I already have my word for it. But at the end of the day, too, I'm like, I wish it was a little bit more fun for me personally. The tone of it was just so dark,
Interesting.
which is also, like I said last week, something that I don't necessarily enjoy
That's
Right.
fair.
in these movies. So
Yes.
I don't enjoy
I-
darkness in comic books, Nicole, so we agree on that.
Yay.
I like the dark.
I know why you choose to have your little group therapy sessions in broad daylight. I know why you're afraid to go out at night. The Batman. See, Batman has shown Gotham your true colors, unfortunately. Dent, he's just the beginning.
You know, it's funny too because it's for those like reasons that like it feels real and it can happen in life that I probably don't like it because I do like my comic books to have an edge of like fantasy and unreality, things that like it's like that's why I like musicals so much. It's like life enhanced and like this would never happen, but only if it could. And I kind of want that allure from my comic book movies, which is why these portrayals of the Christopher Nolan ones, I'm like, ugh, reality? No, this is not proper escapism, guys.
Yeah. Fair. I think you all make valid points and stuff. This is actually one of my favorite performances of the Joker for sure.
Yeah, undoubtedly, it's a fantastic.
I have a question for all of you guys. Do you guys remember when you guys heard that Heath Ledger was going to be cast as the Joker?
It's like 10 things I hate about you. What?
Okay, yeah. So yeah. I think that's some of the similar vibes that a lot of us felt, like A Knight's Tale,
Brokeback
everything-
Mountain.
Yeah. And so, what were your initial thoughts of when he got cast?
I mean, he's hot, but that's pretty much where it stopped.
I don't really remember hearing any, really thinking about it that much. I just was excited that they were going to redo the Joker, and I was just looking for more of, how is he going to spin it? What's his take on it going to be? Is it going to be similar to Jack's, or is it going to be more like Caesar's, or is it going to be totally different, which it ended up being.
I remember this this casting, and looking back on it is what taught me to not get upset until I've actually seen the movie, because I was upset. I was like, why is this pretty boy playing the clown prince of crime?
Oh, I remember you complaining actually.
I was like, he doesn't have the long features. He's he's got a regular guy look to him. I mean, he's hot and everything, but he's not the he's not the Joker I had in my head. And then seeing the build up, the promo pictures of him where he looked like Macy, the serial killer.
No,
with the
Gacy.
Yeah, Gacy. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy. Yeah.
And he was scary. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're going a completely different direction than I anticipated. And I would get more and more excited. And then finally seeing the movie, I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to judge anything until I see the movie.
And you've been open about you were open about Batfleck, you're open about Robert Pattinson, so you have definitely changed your views on prejudging actors now. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wanted to hear everyone's take on what they thought of Joker, because obviously I think we can all agree it's a wonderful performance. Whether or not he's our favorite Joker or not is a different story. But let's talk a little bit about. I want to ask you guys about what you think do you think he awoken anything in kind of fandoms or anything?
Oh, for sure. There's all sorts of people dressed like him at comic conventions still to this day. They even start drawing him differently in the comics. They started giving him scars, because before it was makeup, and then it was acid, and then it was a combination, and now he has scars on his face. So I like that the comics are willing to look at the new source material and pull from different areas.
Yeah, during the '89 Batmania, it was Batman everywhere. The bat signal was everywhere. Batman on your cereal box and everything. But when this movie came out, it was Joker. Joker was on backpacks. He was on Converse
100%.
shoes. That persona of Joker took over and was the face of the Batman franchise after he came out.
Do you think his death had anything to do with that?
Yes.
That this person who pretty much some people think gave his life for this performance, and the allure about that.
He was
just,
getting
people,
credit
being
for the movie
wow.
before he died, though. It didn't happen immediately, so I think it added to it, and I definitely think it helped him get the Oscar. But I don't think it made the performance any better.
No,
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree, Ben.
Well, it's so hard to predict. I mean, he wasn't there for any of the press tours. He wasn't able to do interviews. We didn't get to see him talk about the character after the movie had released or right before the movie had released. We lost all of his take on what had happened, and so it put that air of mystery into this character that needs an air of mystery. Unfortunately, we lost Ledger, but we got a Joker that is shrouded in mystery.
That's true. As the Joker himself is in this film, in this iteration of it. No, I actually want to talk a little bit about this, because you guys are right. How this Joker kind of became almost the face of the movie. And this is my question for everybody here. Is just do you think that would be a problem going forward for the Batman franchise as a whole, especially considering when you listen to the Joker's messages? He's not necessarily. I mean, he's pro-anarchy and stuff. Is this necessarily something that society should be glorifying?
Oh, that's a deep question for another movie we haven't got to
yet. And I think and that's a question that kind of will start weaving itself throughout the next couple of iterations.
Definitely. So I have a big take on that. I think that you've been asking us what kind of word would we use to describe this, and for me, the word would be redefining. He redefined the character, not only for just fans, but in film. And I think that it was so impactful and such a great the timing, unfortunately, for his death and for the release of the movie, everything just added up for a huge and widely received portrayal of the Joker that is iconic at this point. I think that not enough time has passed, though, between him delivering this redefining performance and then everything else we've gotten afterwards. So one, that's impacted every other portrayal we've had, because truly this film was only 11 years ago. You know how sometimes you need a break from something in order to revisit it? They did not do that. They didn't do that with Batman, period, which is also why, DC is just giving us all these kind of weird things, and the timelines don't add up, and it's just I need more time to breathe and to almost process this stuff.
Yes.
But at the same time, because we're all very well aware of some of the controversies that happened in real life because of this film. And I'm not putting the blame on the film. I would never do that. You know, film is like art is art, and the way people react to it is one thing. But at the same time, like there is this kind of weird romanticizing of this character that's happening within our culture that is kind of worrisome.
Right.
I think,
But I don't think it's, I'm not going to talk about that though with this particular performance, because I just think that at the end of the day, he just did such a great job that everyone, it truly was redefining for all of us.
What about you guys? What do you think?
Oh, I could go on a very long tirade about personal responsibility and people needing to understand the difference between reality and fiction.
Seriously.
I think when you look at something that's artistic and you look at acting and a performance, the violence in these movies is not greater, and I'm talking all Batman movies, including the newest one, including the Joker. There's personal responsibility that has to be taken into account. These movies are not any more violent than John Wick series or any other thing that's put out there right now. And I think the glorification of the Joker maybe is part of the reason that the violence is looked at more closely in these movies. The theater attack that happened with The Dark Knight Rises, there was this mysticism surrounding the assailant in that he was dressed as the Joker and said that he's the Joker, and that's actually inaccurate. That was spread, that's incorrect. He didn't dye his hair. He didn't dye his hair green.
Yeah.
It was orange. He didn't say I was the Joker. Okay. He went into the theater because of the location and the ability to get into that with the exits and the strategy he used. He had actually was thinking of going to an airport and doing his attack there. So it had nothing to do with Batman or the Joker. It was the largest movie that was coming out at the time. It was the largest target. So it's unfortunate that the theater incident happened whatsoever, regardless of any mass shooting or whatever happens in society. It's unfortunate and it's sad. And and in this case, it's tied to a franchise that hasn't that has some dark mysticism already surrounding the characters, has some stigmas of mental health in the heroes and the villains, and the society and media is playing on that. Well, we have deranged people, so these deranged people are going to do this because of this movie, and that's not necessarily the case. That you are going to have mental health issues, or you have access to weapons, and you have the means and the motive. It's going to happen regardless of whether it's Batman. It could have been the biggest premiere of some Disney movie, and the guy could have gone in and decided to do it there. It didn't matter the film, and it's unfortunate because now it's tied to the Batman franchise, and so there is some of that tied in there. So I'm going to go off my rant.
Sometimes people just want a scapegoat, unfortunately. So I agree, Aaron.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and like, yeah, I mean, freedom of art, freedom of speech, but it's unfortunate because at this point it is tied in, and it's like something you can't ignore.
It's true. Actually, I think I never heard the fact that I never heard the rumors that he was dressed as the Joker. So
yeah, I never heard that either.
But I mean, I'm sure people were spinning the story however they could.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the game of telephone.
Yeah, exactly.
So my one word for Heath Ledger's Joker would be committed.
Nice.
Committed.
Which works wonderfully, right? Because you can be committed to a psychiatric ward.
Yeah, double meaning.
Yeah.
Playing off the other villain of the movie Two-Face. So.
I'm gonna go with iconic.
Now you're just reusing people's words.
I
Jake.
know. I know.
So we're just gotta come up with one word to describe the performance.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I would. Let me think. Hang on. I guess I'd have to go with just incredible. I think it's set the bar.
Easy.
Romantic.
Ooh.
Hey, why romantic?
This is the one with Harley Quinn, right?
No.
Harley Quinn.
Oh, no. All right.
You're talking about you jumped ahead of the movie.
I thought Nicole transitioned to the next movie.
I was into it. I was like,
that was the perfect transition.
Okay.
No, we're talking.
I said this already.
You said your word?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was like his favorite. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What word would I go with? I actually had just thought of it and I forgot. Terrorist, I think, is this Joker.
Terrorist.
And I think that's what kind of makes him so good in this one. I know that you're not a fan of like realism in our films and stuff, but this Joker really feeds into our fears of domestic terrorism.
No, for sure.
And I think that's what kind of makes him such a captivating character as well.
Yeah, this one could have definitely happened, which is scary.
Yeah. Miles apart from the next iteration we're going to get, which is by Jared Leto in Suicide Squad.
Jared Leto? Leto, not Leto.
Is it Leto?
Oh,
Leto?
I don't know.
Leto.
Leto?
Oh, is it Leto?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Leto?
I just wanted to talk. I don't know.
I'm gonna say Leto. 8 years after The Dark Knight, they decided to do a movie called The Suicide Squad, and they cast Jared Leto as the new Joker to fill the shoes that Heath Ledger left. So this is after the DC extended universe has started. We've had Man of Steel, we've had Batman v Superman. The world has seen their Superman die, and they decide that the best route to protect themselves is to get a bunch of villains together to be a task force that is expendable. All of that is to introduce a very fan favorite character, Harley Quinn, and you can't have Harley Quinn without the Joker. And we get a very narcissistic psychopath, full of himself rapper version of Joker, and they really had to go a completely different direction than had been done, and it was a risk, just like the previous Joker was. And I think the risk didn't work. It didn't pay off.
So my one word to describe this Joker performance is forgettable.
Ooh.
My one word
Forgettable.
is going to be hashtag not my Harley. So I actually haven't seen this movie because
I didn't make it all the way through this movie.
It's not my Harley Quinn, and I
Yeah, me neither.
refused. But what a little
Yeah.
I do know about this Joker is that he's like a minor character, right? Like he is
Yes, he
barely
is.
in it.
Yes, most of his parts were edited out of the final cut of the movie.
Because he was terrible.
He only has something like 6 minutes of screen time, 8 minutes of screen time. It's a small amount.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the
Yeah.
reasoning for that was? Do you think it was because they didn't think he could compete with Heath? Do you think they wanted to focus on the newer characters? What do you think they were going with that?
True.
Well, I actually know from post-production wise, this movie was a hot mess because
Yeah.
and here's why. The director, David Ayer, if I remember correctly, right? David Ayer directed?
Yes.
All right, so David Ayer had his own vision for this film. However, because of the mediocreness of returns for Batman v Superman, the studio, Warner Brothers, got very, very scared, and they decided the same company that edited the trailer, to edit the film,
Whoa.
to re-edit the film.
That doesn't really
That's why it
happen
plays
very
like a
often,
trailer.
right?
It does
No.
not happen at all because trailer editing companies are very separate from movie editing
Yes,
companies.
they are.
And as a result, what's it called? The basic direction that they got from the studio was like make it like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
So they re-edited the film. That's why if you listen to the music soundtrack,
The
too,
soundtrack is
it's
insane.
awful
Yeah.
because it's trying to copy a style that was established by Guardians of the Galaxy that did it organically into a movie that you can tell when it's just like ham-fisted inside of you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought we weren't talking
love
about
that.
Brokeback Mountain. What are we talking about?
Wow.
Yes, this movie is terrible. It's style over substance to the fucking core.
Question. Would you die for me?
Yes.
That's too easy. Would you live for me?
Yes.
Well, I'll just tell you right now in the film too, like they don't thoroughly tell this story at all. They tell you about the love that they have or that she has for him and everything that happened, but they don't actually show you very much, which
It's
is
true.
something that this movie like for a very visual movie, it doesn't actually tell a lot. Like it's just so busy with moving the plot forward and just having cool montages of
Yes.
like introducing the characters and here's another cool soundtrack moment and it's just like really ridiculous. I feel like the story of like why she fell in love with him is not well told at all.
Yeah.
And that's the whole
and
freaking point. It's the whole point.
I know,
Sorry.
and that's the whole point. And it sucks too because there is this like romanticization of their love story, and then like you see it finally for the first time in film, and it's told in like 5 minutes. With like Viola Davis narrating it, like fuck off. And why is this Joker?
Don't throw Viola Davis into
I love
this,
her. Oh my god, are you kidding me?
She's like the best.
No,
Was
you
she
was
Amanda
kind, you
Waller?
was smart, you was important.
She was Amanda
but,
Waller.
Nice, nice.
But at the end of the day, like this Joker also just felt like a pimp.
I mean, this Joker was definitely a Joker created specifically for the Instagram era.
Yeah.
Like he is all about visual substance. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
no,
Like,
seriously,
he's like,
yeah.
tattoos,
Vapid.
you know?
That's my word, vapid.
It was okay. That's a good word for this performance. I don't know, Eddie. What are your thoughts on this Joker portrayal?
Well, I mean, I didn't care so much for Joker itself, but more Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And it's the first time seeing another aspect of the Joker in relationship with Harley Quinn. Because it's always about Batman and how he's reacting to Batman. Even with his minions, he doesn't really have any relationship but telling them what to do. But here is this, well, Batman is a give and take, and then Harley Quinn is like, it pulls him in another direction. And we get to, I was hoping to see a deeper side, another side of the Joker.
Yeah.
But for me, this is where I fell in love with Harley Quinn.
Oh,
for me,
sure.
I'm my type of person. That
Eddie,
was not
I had
considered,
such
the
hopes for us
Joker,
being
Harley
friends.
Quinn from the cartoons or even from the comics. But now I'm interested in this Harley Quinn because it's like, now it's like, this is a character dealing with, I'm getting out of this very toxic relationship.
Yeah.
But I'm still drawn to it.
Oh, you're so nice to this movie.
No, he's right though. By the end of the movie, it kind of muddles it a little at the very, very end. But like at the end of the movie, there is a separation of her separating from the
Yes,
Joker.
there is, which is what sets her up for Birds of Prey.
Which will set you more so, I think, in Birds of Prey because
Yeah.
like he does save her at the end from Arkham Asylum.
I do want to point out, since you guys are remakes, reboots, revivals, that, and I've talked a lot about Harley Quinn, that this is actually her second live action appearance. There was an original Birds of Prey TV show where she was the main villain. And
Yeah, she was actually a psychiatrist.
Yeah, which is in the comics how
you never seen this?
So that
Go
was
on,
her
Ben.
origin. Her origin was a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, and the Birds of Prey TV show got that right. It was about the Joker. The Joker wasn't in that TV show, but she talks about her old love, and she was actually evil in the show from it. She wasn't really crazy. Like, it was a very different portrayal. I can't think of the actress's name right now, but she did a good job with it. It was different, but it didn't upset me like this new version, and I'm not sure why. But I am excited for that aspect, that there's already a Birds of Prey, and I think that one of the characters from that Birds of Prey TV show is going to come into the DC crossover event with all of the Arrowverse shows.
Yeah.
The Huntress from that is going to be in there, so it'll be interesting to see the new Birds of Prey show, like the new movie, and how that all plays in together.
I think one of the most upsetting things about both Harley and Joker from the Suicide Squad was none of it felt earned. Like, Harley's independence is now really important to that character in the comic books, but we didn't get to see a worthwhile relationship between the two of them, why she needed to be independent from him. We just had to assume, okay, Joker's a bad guy, this relationship is bad, and she needs to get away from him and be her own thing. But that is what all that character is about. Like, you have to work that in. You have to have that history between the two of them for her separating to actually mean something.
I will say this, and this is on Harley Quinn, but keep in mind, this movie was kind of written with the male gaze and directed with the male gaze. Whereas the Birds of Prey movie that's coming out is actually directed by
a woman,
female.
yeah, which is exciting.
Amy Chan?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, actually,
don't quote us on that.
Kathy Yan, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, and I think even from the trailer alone, you could just see how different the portrayals are going to be. And it's all from camera work, right? In what's it called? In Suicide Squad, the camera is centered on her chest.
Yeah.
What? Why?
In Birds of Prey, it's centered going to be her face.
Gotcha.
And it's just like there's little subtle cues and stuff from filmmaking point of view that like I find interesting.
Yeah.
I will say this. I think I might be the only one here to say that I was not that bothered by Jared Leto's performance in Suicide Squad. I don't think it's great, but for kind of the script he was working with and what he was given I'm assuming
For sure.
from
Yeah, no,
as
it's
a
not all
director.
his fault.
I think he did the best he could in the best situation.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I did when you saw the first photo of him on set, in costume, I was appalled. It's just like, ugh, what is this? This is not my Joker.
Mhm.
And then I watched it and I was just like, you know what? For this movie, for what they're going for, which is all flash, no substance,
Mhm.
it worked.
And if he's only
That's
in
fine.
6 minutes,
That's the big fan theory, is that this Joker wasn't the original Joker, or maybe he was the original Joker, but he was actually, at first he was Robin. And the death of Robin wasn't the death of another person. It was him losing his sanity and becoming Batman's archenemy.
Oh, right, because they did say
Okay.
Harley Quinn.
So
killed
right there,
Robin.
if that had been something that they kind of worked into an actual film,
Mhm.
that would have been an interesting take that I probably would have been interested in seeing.
Yeah.
Does anyone know for sure? I don't know for sure. Is this the last time we're going to see Jared Leto as Joker?
I think so.
I think so.
We don't think he's going to show up in Birds of Prey. He might show up as a cameo.
Maybe. I don't think so.
Another
He's
6
definitely
minutes.
Not in talks to be in the Batman film.
He's
with
done.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think the
and
Robert
bringing in
Pattinson's
other
going to
villains.
villains.
reimagine Joker at some point.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah,
Okay.
but not within the first film.
So I guess we have more Jokers to expect down the line.
Yeah.
But I guess that'll be a while from now because we actually just got a new Joker
We did.
portrayed by Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes. In 2019's Joker. Just simply Joker.
What's so funny? Freak!
This film was directed by Todd Phillips, who is known for the Hangover movies and Due Date and just a bunch of comedies. I feel like this is his first real straight up drama with barely any jokes in it, like really funny moments.
Oh, what?
It's a
I
really
was
serious
laughing
movie.
hysterically at his jokes. I thought something more funny.
You thought this?
You mean this wasn't
he
a
also
comedy?
co-wrote it with Scott Silver. This is a standalone film. This is not a tie-in with any real Batman movie. These are, people who are like, let's provide our own origin story to this character named Joker. They gave him a name, Arthur Fleck.
Arthur Fleck.
They gave him a mother, Penny Fleck. And then they just put him in Gotham. Joaquin Phoenix is Arthur Fleck. He lives with his mother, and
Played by
Frances Conroy,
who?
great
I
actress.
think
Yeah, she's a fantastic actress. They have this relationship together where they stay up and they watch Live with Mary Franklin, played by Robert De Niro. Arthur Fleck has a job playing a clown, visiting children and holding up signs. He's just like kind of like a for hire clown.
Which were
And
apparently in high
he
demand in the
has-
70s.
Yes.
You know?
And he has no friends. And he is just very much a sad, lonely, I'm going to call him boy. And at the end of it, this film is about not only somebody who feels like neglected and deserted by the world, but he has a mental illness, and delusions and all this stuff are a very big part of it. We've all seen this movie, right, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And I just
so
want to
we're going to spoil it for if you haven't seen it. This movie came out a
this is
week
your
ago.
Spoiler alert,
Yes.
everybody.
I would like to actually preface that the brothers have not talked to each other at all about this movie.
Ooh.
So
how
if
exciting.
so we're going to talk about it with you guys, but if we hold back at all, it's because we have other podcasts we're doing about this movie. So I'm sure we're going
Okay.
to want to save something. So I'm really
Yeah,
excited to
of
talk
course.
about the Joker in it. I mean, obviously he's the whole movie,
Mhm.
but his performance and portrayal and everything. But as far as like the deep meanings behind the movie, we might hold back a little, just so you know.
No, totally. And I get that. And feel free to listen to their episode when they release it, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Although I promise, I feel like me and Nicole might go a little bit deep on this podcast.
We
for-
might, yeah.
No, and I'm sure we won't
So,
be able to
well-
hold back our opinions. So there you go.
I just want to ask straight out the gate. Does everyone believe that this was a delusion of his, the whole movie? Or do you think it actually happened?
I think the ending is a delusion.
You think the ending
I
is
think
a
the
delusion?
ending becomes a delusion.
I think
I actually
so. Like at some point, it like becomes in his mind.
the
and
car
that's-
accident. I
the
think
car
the car
accident,
accident
yeah,
on,
and then the
it's
praise
all-
he got.
I think what happened in the TV studio was reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause, I mean, you can't have a Joker movie and like then it's all for nothing.
Yeah.
You need to have that moment happen where he kind of becomes he became the Joker before that, but like this is when he becomes the Joker to the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the moment where he gets worshipped by all of Gotham and stuff, I think that's the
Yeah.
moment that it was all a delusion.
Yeah, because cinematically, the film just set up a language for us.
Mm-hmm.
The film is about a man who suffers from delusions, which is something that's really great about this movie, is that it really kind of does this whole taxi driver / king of comedy approach to mental illness, 2 Scorsese movies if you haven't seen them. And it pretty much shows you his delusions. There's this girl that he sees in an elevator, and then he becomes obsessed with her. And in his mind, he creates this whole pretend relationship that he has with her. Then the film shows you that relationship was a delusion. So therefore, because the film decides to show us when it was a delusion, show us, hey guys, he's delusional, then the whole movie couldn't be a delusion.
Yeah. I don't think the whole movie is a delusion. I think it's just the very, very ending. Like I think the riots happened, and I think he got taken away. I do not think that there was a car accident and he got worshipped by
I don't think so.
Because the problem I think I have with that is I'm okay with the riots happening and then him inciting riots. I'm not okay with all of Gotham worshiping the Joker, because then that's something that changes.
Yeah.
Well, what's the message there, right?
Exactly.
Wait. I want to go before the two of you go. So I do believe that the entire thing is a delusion, and I think that the end cap and I think it's framed. The narrative is framed between the 2 sessions with the psychiatrist. And I think that fixes every fanboy's complaint that we don't need a Joker origin, because this is Joker just making shit up. And he's just living in his own delusion, whether or not he's doing it on purpose or it's his own mental illness that's creating it. I think it's all bullshit.
Apparently, I need to sleep on this a little longer, because I just saw it yesterday and my mind right now is like, wait, what? Yeah, I didn't take it like that at all. But I don't think I'm ready to talk about this movie. I thought he was a great actor. Thought he was really committed.
Committed.
I will say this about this movie. I think this movie leaves a lot to interpretation.
Yes. It does, which is a good choice.
For example, do you guys think that he killed his love interest?
That was what I wanted to talk about. I was mortified because I was like, don't kill the little girl, don't kill her. And Aaron last night quickly in our whispering amongst each other was like, I don't think he killed her. And I thought about it. You don't think he killed anybody, Jake?
I don't think he killed her.
I mean, he left the apartment, closed the door, and he would have just walked off. I mean, he didn't. I don't think he did anything there.
I don't think he
the
killed
movie would
her.
have showed it to us.
I don't think he killed her because of her placement in society. I think he was only going after people in power and people who had privilege, and I think he saw her as someone who was also struggling, and he didn't kill people who were struggling. He didn't kill the little person.
He didn't. Yeah,
he killed his mom, but out of like hateful vengeance. I didn't see him. I don't know, and I think that's just my 2 cents without getting too deep into that.
Yeah. I don't think he killed her. The people I saw the movie with yesterday disagreed with me, and I think they made some pretty convincing arguments about like seeing the cop lights afterwards and kind of seeing. They said that they heard stairs in the sound mix, like people running upstairs. So I think they had established that she was like kind of like his voice of reason for a little short period of time.
His tender moments.
Yeah, like it kind of created kind of like a little bit of sanity in his life, despite the fact that she wasn't real. And that's a valid argument of him having to kill her off.
I mean, this movie is about a person who suffers from mental illness. It's a good portrayal of someone who has mental illness. It shows you the instability, not only, in their actions, but in their head, and makes you as a viewer very confused and also kind of like uneasy with it. So it's like, it gives you the feelings of what that's like. I think it's interesting because his laugh, I really appreciated that kind of like
brilliant
thing that the fact that he has a disease,
effect.
Which is also very nice.
That's what it's called.
So he has that, which is like, it causes him to laugh in inappropriate times. Love that. I love that they established that he was highly traumatized and abused as a child, which is why he has all those issues and probably why he has that condition. Like this is the first time I feel like we were provided with the story of the Joker where it's like, this guy is fucked up. He is the product of abuse and neglect.
Well, now,
and, like,
how much of that is true? Because I don't know. Like, so he was told, or he found out by his mom that he is the son of Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne. And then you find out that the mom's crazy, was the mom actually crazy, or was Thomas Wayne hiding it because, he has the power to because he's a rich white man?
Question.
I think he was hiding it. I think he is the son of the Waynes. I think he is I think that's so much more interesting than just being crazy.
Yes, that's why they're yin and yang. Yeah,
I think being told you're crazy can make you crazy, and I kind of liked that side of it.
They probably made her crazy.
I genuinely, actually, I thought that as well, because this movie does not hide the fact that it's just like a little bit of the messaging here is like fuck the rich, and I'm like, you know what? I'm here for that messaging, to be honest.
Yes, no, for
that
sure.
That was a lot of
Joker becomes an anti-hero in this film.
It was, but I agree with like your take on that, right? Because the rich can influence and fake documents
for sure.
So it was interesting, right? Because this movie, there are a couple of fake outs, and that fake out, what's it called? There were 2 fake outs, right, in this movie that are big, which is the fact that like the girl was a delusion, the riches they had, and then Thomas Wayne not really being the father was another fake out.
Yeah.
I caught the girl being a delusion early on. I actually thought they were going to go with Thomas Wayne being the father. However, because of this fucked up society that Gotham is at this point, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that he is in fact the father, and like he's lying.
Sure. Yeah.
Which I think makes for a better Batman story if like Batman is in some fucked up way related to the Joker.
And it just makes for a better storytelling in film. I think that the more you leave to the audience for them to think about and for them to watch the way the film was shot and all this stuff, is at the end of the day, it's good filmmaking choices.
For sure. So do we all agree that we enjoyed it on some level, that it was a well-made movie?
On some level, yes.
I think I enjoyed it on a high level. Does that make sense? I enjoyed the film.
Rolando and I went to film school. I think as film students, we really did end up appreciating the language of this film and the way that the film was told. I think it was good filmmaking.
A little derivative. I think it's very derivative.
I think it's highly derivative.
Yes. The Scorsese movie that you mentioned, for sure.
Taxi Driver and King and Comedy.
But
I've seen these movies before and I've seen them better.
I agree with you. But I think for this genre,
yes,
right, I think that's where I appreciate the movie more, because this is a genre film. At the end of the day, this is still. It's not a superhero movie, but its origins are a superhero movie.
No, for sure.
And as a result, I'm enjoying more and more as these, because we're getting so many superhero movies that they all end up feeling the same. I think movies that try to borrow or become a different, like, kind of cross genre here is where they kind of become their own thing. So Joker did that successfully.
Yes. And I've often complained about the Nolan films being a little too dark or too real and stuff, but I think that this film actually, even though it is very serious, and there were a lot of moments where I'm like, oh my God, like I cringed more than I laughed, which sometimes I don't enjoy, but I actually thought that this film does that better. So the things that I normally don't like, also because of the character portrayal, and that it was just more of like a character study film.
Right. It took it further. It took it further away from comics. I mean, all we got were a couple Gotham references. We got the name Joker. We got the name Wayne's. Something I want to talk about real quick that isn't really about the Joker, but I really like the scene where with him and Bruce by the fence. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the only thing Bruce said the entire movie his name? Didn't he just say his name? Bruce?
Yeah,
it was.
I really liked that. We didn't get anything from him, just this little rich white boy that we all know when he grows up to, but you don't feel for him because you don't see anything from him.
Right.
So.
Because
for sure.
And I think it's true because we don't need it. There was a whole TV show based off of this called Gotham.
Yes.
There was, every movie always tries to incorporate the origins of Batman. So we know Batman's story. This is a pseudo origin story for Joker. I like this idea, like it is all just a hallucination and stuff. Because I think the movie does play around with that idea a lot. And I don't know. Now you're making me question like everything in the movie, you know.
Well, but before we question the filmmaking of it, which we can, like Ben said, we can all agree we enjoyed at some point. What did we think about Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh, I think it was a spectacular.
I don't think Joaquin Phoenix was in this movie. I think it was Arthur Fleck in the Joker. I really think his performance is on par with Ledger. Not necessarily not that maybe he's the better Joker, but I think his performance and portrayal and gave life to a character in a different set. And I mean, we got a totally different Joker than we got from Heath Ledger and we got from Leto and for any of the ones before. And it was a new spin. And there were his laugh at first. I was like, well, that's kind of seems forced. And it was supposed to seem forced because he's forced to laugh. He doesn't have a choice in it. And so the more that the movie went on and the more that he did the laugh, the creepier it became, the better his laugh became, the more I didn't see him as the guy from Gladiator or any of his other movies. I saw him as this mentally ill person trying to find his way. His bodily transformation to get ready for the role was huge. He didn't look like himself at all. I'm not saying a lot of in-depth stuff, but I'm trying to. I have some very. I'm not sure what I think about the whole. Is it a hallucination? Is he imagining the reality of this? I haven't made my decision on that yet. I was actually just looking on Fandango, and there's a 10:30 showing, and I want to go. But so I'm thinking like his performance, Joaquin Phoenix. I think you can put it up there. Maybe not as good as Ledger's, but he's right up there in terms of turning this character into something we haven't seen, showing the sadistic nature, showing a Joker in a way that hasn't been done in the film before.
But Joaquin is such an amazing actor and did so much for the role himself that he let some of the character of Joker that we've never seen on film that's been in comics come out. Like the deranged dancing and his slow evolution and buildup. I think that was all Joaquin bringing that out. Like he let it gradually become the Joker, and we haven't seen that dancing, that lost in the delusion, lost in the chaos and madness, the madness that has not been in the Joker correctly in a long time. What do you guys think about the reference maybe to the subway vigilante? Do you guys know that whole story from the 80s?
Do I know the subway
Yes.
vigilante? Oh, Eddie.
There was that guy that shot 3 teenagers.
Oh.
Bang bang.
Yeah.
I think they were going to mug him.
Oh.
But the thing was, I always portrayed is that he's the white guy with the gun, and when I remember, they were 3 African American teenagers.
Oh.
So they were going to mug him, and he took the gun out and he shot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was like a big.
So
That's one of the things I remember.
Yeah, actually, race I think is an important thing here at this point.
huge
And
in this movie.
But wait, before we move on from that, too, just want to say something about, like the use of like the Joker being mostly nude, having these scenes where he's just you see a lot of his body and just kind of see his. I love how you see his back, and just like you could see like the bones and stuff like that, but how he contortions his kind of shoulders in almost has this look of someone breaking out of a cocoon.
Or demonic.
Just trying to slam. So kind of like this metamorphosis that he's going through.
Totally.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, because his posture changes by the end of it.
Yeah.
By the end of it, you can see the confidence and stuff, and he kind of stands upright, whether or not that happened or not.
On the Murray Show, yeah.
But you're right, race does take a part of this. When I was watching this film, I was like, are they making a comment about institutionalized racism? Like, it was like a lot of questions that I had about that.
Interesting. That's an interesting take. Well, how do you think that?
Well, okay, so almost everyone he interacts with the first 30 minutes are black.
Yes.
The people that mug him, the person that he has the medicine, his like social worker. The woman on the bus and the child, and then the woman in the elevator that becomes infatuated with.
Interesting. I did not see that. I didn't realize that, but you're 100% true. Right.
Even the man that gives him the file.
Yeah. So then at first I was like, what's going on? I'm like, is this on purpose? Because it was a little uneasy. But then after a while that changed, especially when he commits murder, he doesn't do that.
So I don't necessarily think it's about race as much as more about class. This is a class warfare movie.
Yes, no, for sure.
This is about the have-nots versus the haves, which is Thomas Wayne, and I think they did this. I think they did Thomas Wayne kind of wonderfully. Sleeping on it last night. He was almost very Trumpish. He was kind of a dickhead and stuff.
Yeah.
That's not the Thomas Wayne that they give us in. I know, Eddie. I'm taking your line. I'm taking
you
but
want an autograph?
you. I agree with you. I think they did, but I think it works because Thomas Wayne has his aura of like greatness in the comics.
Absolutely.
That they've kind of like started messing around with as of late in more contemporary comics. But Thomas Wayne has always been like this kind of like godlike figure to Batman, obviously, right? Because what could drive a man to like go on this vigilante path? His father had to be like a symbol of like greatness.
Sure.
Right. And this movie kind of takes a turn from that. Kind of sees he's a human, he punched Joker. He his line, yeah, do you want an autograph and stuff. He was kind of like a pompous, arrogant asshole. And
Yeah,
also,
for sure.
he's running for mayor thinking that he knows what's best for the city because he is the 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he for sure, what's it called? Thomas Wayne irritated me for sure.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I loved that. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I
And then
really
I
like
guess-
that rendition of Thomas Wayne. We haven't seen that very much at all.
I will say the one thing that now that I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, I do think I know what they had to say about the race thing, because I feel like, we can all agree that like institutionalized racism, if we believe or not, if it's a thing, that means that like Black people are the lesser people when it comes to class and society. Joker, the character Arthur Fleck, feels resonating with them, but they kind of they don't feel that way about them. They beat him up, like he can't connect to his social worker. There's this woman that he wants to be with, but that he's not, and that I think instills in him even more that he's an outcast and that he doesn't belong anywhere.
For
And that's
sure.
what fucks him up even more.
I think that's why the mom was an interesting character, because the mom obviously feels, oh, we have someone growling. He does not agree with you. No, I think the mom is the interesting character because like she has this hard belief that like this is not where they belong.
Yeah.
They being the white people.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
Yeah, I 100%
I read that
agree,
like I
yeah.
read that like that.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
she
yeah.
believes that she is what's it called? That this is not the kind of life that they should be living.
Yeah. A really interesting film.
I think it was very interesting. I will say this: one of the reasons the movie is so divisive is because of the messaging, and I think this messaging here at the end is where I'm kind of conflicted with this movie. Joker is in this film a character that we see lived a hard life.
Yes.
And by the end of it, he's saying it's just like, yo, fuck these rich people, fuck these people with privilege who tell us how to act and stuff, right? Kind of almost a call to action to rise up against them.
Yeah.
Arthur Fleck's character had a hard life that kind of represents all that.
Of course.
However, keep in mind our audiences, and keep in mind this highly politicized era that we're living in right now. We have Trump, and I hate to get political here, but like it's a little bit.
You
you're
can't
already getting political.
you can't talk about this movie
You can't.
without getting into it. I feel
Right.
Yeah,
So I think the thing is
yeah.
right now that we have a very a white population that feels very disenfranchised right now. And as a result, like I think my fear with this movie is just like this is kind of giving credence to their cries right now, despite the fact
Yeah.
that like this character had lived that hard life. And I hate to say it, a lot of the white people who feel grievances have not.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, it's a film, and this film should not be held responsible for anybody's actions in real life because
Agreed.
at the end of the day, it's art. But at the same time, more and more, we're finding that people can't draw the lines, and that's not the film's fault. That's those fucking people's faults.
Right.
So it's a bit of a shame because when I entered the theater, my friend had to have their bag searched, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, right. Yeah.
And there
because
was, I
of-
saw security fucking guards in my theater and all this stuff. And I was just like, wow. So it's the art and life, art imitating life and life imitating art boundaries are like
Blurred.
It's just blurred. And I don't know if we all want to get into that right now, but it is something that we at least should address.
I think
Because at
so.
the end of the day, too, it could be confused as romanticizing of this kind of behavior.
I agree.
Which is, again, and that's where it's like kind of I feel on the fence about it because it's not really the film's fault, but we know what time period we live in and all this shit. I don't know.
Right.
I'm
I
just
think
gonna
they do a
leave it at
good
that.
job of saying that Arthur is making the choices that he's making. Like he's deciding to be this bad person. It may be due to his
Yeah.
mental illness. It may be because he went off his medications, but he's not the victim in the sense that there is a point where he could get help. He could reverse the actions that have started to happen, but he chooses to fall further into that madness.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
sure.
think what I enjoyed was the conflict. Like I enjoyed sitting there in the theater being like, "Oh, don't root for him. Don't root for him." And I found myself rooting for him. And so I feel like that was the conflict and that was to me that was what my big takeaway from the movie was. Like when he's at the talk show with the guy at the end and he's going off and he's saying those things, I was like, yeah, what you're saying, I feel you. Like, I hear you. I like that society's failed you, blah, blah, blah. And then he shoots him and it's like, oh, shit. No, I didn't actually want you to do that. But in the moment, I was like rooting for you. Like, I don't know. What I love is the uneasiness and is the conversation that I think is going to come from the movie.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. I think that's why this movie is one of the movies that I think for sure deserves a second watching.
Yeah, totally.
A viewing because it's it's a complicated movie.
It is,
which is shocking. I really tried not to read anything about it. I was trying to go in there with an open mind because I was so divisive, right? You either love it or you're not here for the message. And I find myself understanding it's just like, I get it. I know why people feel this way about this movie. And I think it's a movie that only time will tell where it stands in the grand scheme
For sure.
of Joker
It's too
performances.
soon.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
What is your one word for your Joker here?
Psychotic.
Human.
Awakening.
It's gonna sound stupid, but really think about it. Well done.
Hyphenated.
Yes.
Metamorphosis.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Cute.
I'm gonna go with mesmerizing.
Oh,
I was
Mesmer.
very
Franz
mesmerized by
Mesmer.
this film.
Yeah.
And
Cute.
this character.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's only been a day.
It's true. You're right. It was only been a day.
All right, let's do a lightning round.
Lightning round.
Favorite Joker? Who wants to start?
I will.
Damn it.
My favorite Joker is still Mark Hamill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say why.
Yeah,
You can.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're more than welcome to.
I think that he has all the layers. I think that the voice is iconic. I read the comic books, hearing his voice forever and always.
Yeah.
For someone who played the main character in the original Star Wars franchise, for me to know him as the Joker, I think speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I'd say Ledger, just because I think the performance was so different and really brought new life to the franchise and the character, and his portrayal has so much surrounding him that I go back and watch that and just get lost in some of his insanity and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say Mark Hamill as well. I think every key version of the Joker is torn out of the Mark Hamill Joker. Like, he is the perfect combination of all of the different aspects of that character.
Yeah. Oh, this is tough. I mean, for me, I love Cesar Romero, but I'm not going to pick him.
I actually had money that you were going to pick Cesar Romero.
I think we all can agree that the really true way you can flesh out this character is through this animated performance with Mark Hamill. That's why I call it balance, because it's the balance of everything we need. Some performances are too much on this side, some performances are too much on that side, and Mark Hamill's right in the middle.
Yeah.
But if I were to pick a person, I think the person who just did the best acting job would have to be Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay. Oh, okay. That my mind is blown.
Yeah, you're mesmerized.
Yeah.
Respect.
I'm actually torn
NEZ?
between the one I said and Phoenix, so I'm
yeah,
with
because
you,
he
so.
really did
Eddie?
awesome.
No, it was Ledger.
Yours is Ledger.
It made the Joker real for me.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with also Mark Hamill because he just teetered that line so well.
Yep.
If I had to go with a live action performance, I think the one that I constantly still think of when I think of Joker, the one that first pops into my head is still Jack Nicholson.
I was gonna say no one's saying Jack.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, look, Mark Hamill's performance is like by far that is my favorite Joker. I'm gonna go live action, strictly live action on film. I'm gonna go with Jack Nicholson because that one still feels larger than life. It still had those clownish antics, and yet at the same time he was very murderous.
Yeah,
he
was a good balance too.
I mean, he almost killed an entire city.
Yeah, he did
in one parade.
For
so Jack Nicholson for me
Would be your live action.
is my Joker.
All right,
He's the one who
awesome.
scares me the most, though.
That's great. Well, who is your Joker? Let us know. You can email us at remakes.reboots.revivals@gmail.com. Instagram us at Remakes Reboots Revivals, or find us on Facebook. Just type in Remakes Reboots and Revivals.
Yeah, and guys, where can people find you on social media?
Well, you can listen to our podcast, The Brotherhood of Batman, every Monday, wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts. So just Google search that.
You can send us an email at brotherhoodofbatman@gmail.com or send us a tweet at brotherhdbatman on Twitter.
And we're on Facebook at the Brotherhood of Batman.
Or you can find us like Nicole and Rolando found us on Instagram at Brotherhood of Batman.
For Ben's once every 3 months tweet.
I post cute pictures of myself. You can actually see, if you go to that, you can see me as Poison Ivy. There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Actually, yeah, I saw you as Poison Ivy. I loved it, by the
Thank
way.
you.
It was
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're really excited
yeah.
for you guys to come and read a comic book with us on a future episode. So,
Oh my God, yes, by all means, let us know. Pick a comic. I can't wait because it'll be Nicole's first comic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. That's going to be so exciting.
It'll be a hot
Yeah,
minute,
yeah.
but it'll be a fun reunion.
Yeah.
We've got a lot planned. and so we've got to find a good spot for you guys. But thank you so much for having us. We had an absolute blast.
This was a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks for joining.
We had a
Thank you.
lot of fun.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well then, I guess until next time,
stay
unoriginal.